Would you like to swing on a star, carry moonbeams dressed as you are? Or would you rather be a fish? Words from a song from long ago that seemed to bob for attention as this morning got on your way. But they said it couldn't happen here, and yet it has. Another melody, but this time with reference astrologically to the repeating pattern every 4 months of Mercury going retrograde. Yes, folks, this week Mercury grinds to a stall and then heads back over territory it has recently traversed. I'm going to start this week's consideration off with the Sabian symbol interpretation from Dane Rudger's An Astrological Mandala for the degree where this Mercury retrograde process begins. By the way, this is the Celestial Chatter for January 10th through 16th. Let's take a look at the chart while we're thinking about it. This is the chart for Thursday, and depending on where you are, it'll either be late Thursday or real early Friday morning. Mercury, right here in Aquarius at 10 degrees, is going to station and go retrograde. It goes retrograde about 10 degrees in 20 minutes. But the Sabian symbol for this particular degree, even though it says 10 degrees up there, that is the 11th degree. And so from the Sabian symbols, this is what it reads like. During a silent hour, a human receives a new inspiration which may change his life. Keynote: the need to rely upon inner inspiration and guidance at the start of new developments. So what is implied here is the essential value of keeping open to the descent of spiritual or soul forces, especially when a new period of individual activity is about to begin. The individual should not depend mainly on outer circumstances and on traditional and, in a sense, external, because collectively formulated, incentives. There is a creative power within, a power that can be tapped, or rather that should be allowed to flow into the brain, heart, consciousness, or the hands which write or fashion materials into original forms. This is the first stage in the 63rd sequence of 5 phases of activity. It refers to the overshadowing of the individual consciousness by an inner yet transcendent power. Mercury actually stations this week on Thursday, Friday, depending where you are, while in a square aspect, see this red line here, to Uranus down there in Taurus. It would be a good plan to anticipate this transition, as Uranus often seems to set things off rather spontaneously. This aspect occurs about 3 degrees in front of Saturn in Aquarius, so should be approached with care, as no doubt there is a lesson plan in the works. Mercury represents how we think and communicate, and while in Aquarius, is likely to lean toward all kinds of innovation that is aimed at potentially humanitarian causes, or at least for the benefit of as many as are willing to participate. Now, shift this back to the beginning of the week. Let's look at the week as a whole. On Monday, the Sun forms a sextile with Neptune down here in Pisces. There may be incentive to view societal structure within a context that can resonate on a more profound level than currently seems to be occurring. Can you perceive the presence of a guiding hand or energy matrix that supersedes human control? Might there be an awareness of something within you beckoning your participation into a larger context than the daily grind? While it might not delete the daily tasks, perhaps an attitude shift is in order for how you approach things. I suspect these thoughts are being infused by the muses at the moment of this writing. Tuesday finds Mars forming a square aspect with that same Neptunian energy that we were just talking about with the sun. Mars is in Sagittarius, so there's a drive, that's Mars, for an extended vision that could likely wonder if conversations with Source might be in the distance, or even better, right at hand. This may require a certain fortitude, as only Mars could muster, to successfully make it through the potential fog of imagination and dreams as these days misinformation is rampant, seeming to block forward progress. After all, Tuesday is a Mars-inspired day. Here's a little Sabian flavor for that Mars position to contemplate. A child, this is the Mars we're talking about up there in Sagittarius, a child and a dog wearing borrowed eyeglasses. The keynote, the use of imagination and make-believe in anticipating higher stages of development. This rather peculiar symbol seems to imply here that by imitating features belonging to a level of consciousness as yet unreachable, the process of growth may be accelerated. Eyeglasses symbolize intellectual development. The chiefs of primitive tribes, in some instances, have sought to impress their people by wearing spectacles without glass or Western hats, simply because these objects seemed characteristic of a race of superior people. And then I put in my own little comment, or is it sarcasm? This is similar to the process of growth by identification with a master or guru. In a sense, it is mere pretending or make-believe, yet by wearing the mask of a god, the medicine man at the time becomes, for all practical purposes, the incarnation of the god. Growth is always hierarchical, always a hierarchical process, even if the growing entity is not aware of it. This is the symbol for the 53rd sequence. It suggests the value of learning through imitation. Move the chart ahead a little bit. All the way to Sunday. We draw the week to a close with some more solar energy on Sunday. That is the sun days, after all, the sun's day. It conjoins with Pluto. You can kind of see the two of them right here, up here. While it might be able to shed some light on the potential intensity of this kind of aspect, I'm going to offer the Sabian symbol for you to reflect and meditate upon, to ferret your own interpretation of how to best utilize this moment. The symbol for that degree where these two planets are dancing together reads, pilgrims climbing the steep steps leading to a mountain shrine. The keynote, the ascent of the individualized consciousness to the highest realizations reached by the spiritual leaders of its culture. That, after all, is the potential that Capricorn holds. We hear a great deal about how peak experiences, but this symbol tells us that they depend to a very great extent upon following a path which many have trod before, under the inspiration of great teachers and sages of our race. The shrine is built by the unceasing dedication of perhaps generations of men. The pilgrimage is hallowed by the devotion of many, even though each person finds on his own mountaintop what to him seems a unique and transcendent revelation. In this second stage symbol, we witness the rise of the human consciousness. The preceding symbol spoke of what one may picture as the descent of the energies of nature, which, like water, flow down toward a lower level of intensity. It is man's supreme task to rise like fire, impelled by a vision he shares with his companions. The key word, upreaching. And here's a little flavor of that symbol that they were talking about just prior to this. A nature spirit dancing in the iridescent mist of a waterfall. The keynote, the ability to perceive the hidden and creative spirit of natural phenomena. That's about all I need to share with the chart for this particular week. Some weeks arrive when the use of the Sabian symbols cry out for participation, and I suspect the muses are all singing with delight to be included. We might do well to allow for this process to unfold in unplanned fashion as we discover new steps forward on our individual and collective journey. I was inspired by the muses. And until you actually read the thing, you won't see that I've added little red words throughout the Sabian symbols to fine-tune their reality into perspectives that the muses tapped on my shoulder and said, hey, you know, let's expand this expression to be more inclusive. So that's about all I have for this next week. Mercury going retrograde, always exciting times. What have you thought about? That might require some rethinking as you decide, how am I going to say what it is I want to say? And who do I want to share that with? That's about all I have for this week. Enjoy the next week coming up because it should be interesting. Ciao for now.